Hi, I'm Anatole, and this is my review of Swamp Thing Season 1, Episode 8, titled The Long Walk Home, and plot summary courtesy of DC Universe. After a harrowing journey of survival through the swamp, Avery comes face to face with Swamp Thing, who rescues the injured man and helps his recovery. And so I thought this was an episode of missed opportunity. As I complained in my review of episode 7, this season has focused on Abby and not on Alec Holland / Swamp Thing. We only see the Swamp Thing about once or twice an episode, maybe a little bit more, but it's definitely reduced screen time. More of it is spent with Abby. And when we do get to see Swamp Thing, it's like in episode 7 where we see either Alec Holland in flashback or the whole extended episode of Alec Holland. When we see Swamp Thing, it's usually because he's rescuing Abby or imparting some sort of info dump. And this could have shown us the moment where Swamp Thing is able to get past the weakness that Alec Holland had in his life and show that he's grown towards being a champion of the green and all that that represents. And what I mean by that is the moment where Avery Sutherland is having his hallucinations and he remembers the time when his father is killed by the tree, and that's when he passes out after seeing his father burned in flames. At that moment, when he comes to, Swamp Thing tells him that the swamp wants him dead, but he saved him, and so we see that Swamp Thing has put some healing root on the wounds of Sunderland. But we never saw that scene where Alec Holland decides that he's going to save Sunderland against the wishes of the Green. That's a very important moment, and that would have been a moment where we would see that Swamp Thing can let go of the grievances that he has in the past, because after all, he's dead due to Sunderland killing him. Alec Holland died because of that, and instead do what the greater good requires and what a spirit of generosity would ask for. So we should have seen Swamp Thing appear through that hallucination, and Avery try to fend off the Swamp Thing, because in this hallucination he would have seen his father just get killed by the tree. He would have seen other hallucinations. The rot appeared to him through the guise of Jennifer Beals. I never remember her character's name, unfortunately. But this would have been the real Swamp Thing. And that's when the Swamp Thing, fighting against a person who's killed him once and is trying to kill him again, and fighting against the wishes of the swamp, reaches that moment where instead of cheating on his science paper, because that's the self-serving thing to do, instead of killing Sunderland or just letting him die passively, because that's the self-serving thing to do, saving his life, because that's what a truly generous spirit would do. That's when we would have seen him grow past who Alec Holland was and become, quote unquote, the Swamp Thing. But we didn't see that scene. So much of what has happened with the Swamp Thing is happened with him the important revelations happened with him off screen, unfortunately. And so the other parts of the episode, we get to see pretty much the gears in motion. And the scene where he is kidnapped by Sunderland's forces is straight from the comic book. It's one of the few straight moments from the comic book. And I do appreciate the moment we see Sunderland wrestling with that moment where he gets to be the redeemed soul, and instead he just falls back in towards corruption. And I had mentioned before, it seems that this has happened many times in the season. That's why I feel it's very Manichaean or Christian, the way that there is good and there is evil, and people can be either depending upon the choices they make, and the souls can be influenced towards one or the other. When we saw Daniel, he was a very self-centered individual, and he still seems to be a very ego-driven person, but his decisions to help the people around him, at first he was only helping Abby because it was self-serving. It would have gotten him free from Murray. But when he goes to the rescue of Abby's friend, I don't remember her name, that is not self-serving. That's just out of trying to help someone else. And that's the moment where he passes beyond and transforms into the character that Phantom Stranger had arranged for him to be. That is the Blue Devil. So that was another example of a person reaching that moment where he or she makes a choice, and his soul can be corrupted or saved, and he decided to be saved, and that seems to be where the whole series is headed. That there will be forces within the town, such as Matt. Now, Matt is someone who seems to be on the fence. He's aware there is a corrupting influence. He seems to be struggling against it, but he keeps making the wrong decisions. He might be the one who makes the decision towards the good at the very end, maybe in a tragic way. That's my guess. Anyway, those are my thoughts, more or less, on the episode and the handling of the character Swamp Thing. And so I hope you'll join me next time for my review of episode 9, season 1 of Swamp Thing. And that's all for now. Until next time, take care, be well, and save the green. Goodbye.